Hi, my name is A. Scott Roberts, and I'm going to share with you some unusual techniques that have been scientifically proven to decrease addiction problems, eliminate cravings, and rewire your brain out of destructive habit loops. So make sure you watch this entire video because the information I share will empower you. If you or anyone you love has any problems with drugs, alcohol, smoking, pornography, or even snack foods and sweets, you are in the right place. It really doesn't matter what the addiction is because what I'm about to show you applies to all addiction problems. And I promise you that there isn't a more effective or complete set of information anywhere else that is backed up by this much scientific data and research. So make sure to watch this entire video and I'll give you a solution that has been scientifically proven to decrease bad habits and improve addiction problems. Okay, so before we get started, there are three crucial things you need to know. First, you need to know that addiction is misunderstood and mistreated. Research shows that some of the most common recovery programs show less than a 25% success rate. Some expensive and luxurious rehabs show a 0% success rate. This problem is recognized on a national level, but this doesn't mean that help shouldn't be pursued. Attending AA and other 12-step programs can be very beneficial. Having a strong social support system is very important. Adding evidence-based techniques to common treatment options boosts success. Secondly, you need to know that the most successful methods that are backed by tons of research are actually the least known. No one teaches this and very few know what they are. These are methods that anyone and everyone can do. Thirdly, you need to know that it is possible to rewire your brain out of destructive habit loops or addictions. Okay, so if you're like me, you probably know what it feels like to get those intrusive cravings. You may be just getting off work and you feel that you need to have that drink or that you need to have that smoke. It doesn't matter what the addiction is. These intrusive cravings may come into your mind and make you feel that you need to do something about them right away. But these cravings are really false messages that have been strengthened over and over again. Now, before I get any further, you need to realize that these thoughts aren't you, and these cravings aren't you. So right now, stop thinking that you are weak-willed or morally wrong. It simply isn't true. Now take it from me, when I realized that these cravings or intrusive thoughts weren't me, well, that was the best day of my life. You see, most people, when they feel these intense cravings like they need to take a drink or a smoke, they either give in or try to suppress it. Research shows that suppressing or fighting cravings actually makes matters worse. And this is what 90% of people do. So you may be wondering, who am I and why am I sharing this crucial information with you? Well, my name is A. Scott Roberts and I am an addiction specialist and researcher. I am an author and a speaker. I also worked at a counseling center and I have 2 degrees. But more importantly, let me tell you a bit about my story. As I was doing research in graduate school, I made an incredible discovery. I found that study after study reveals that the most common type of recovery programs, such as those luxurious and high-end rehab facilities, were the least effective. Some of the recovery programs showed less than a 25% success rate, while other methods have shown to produce incredible results. Now, I have taught these same techniques and have helped people in several countries, and today I'm going to help you to do the same. Okay, so let's get right down to what you need to know. You've probably heard some crazy things such as people with addictions are weak-willed or that they have terrible genetics, or that once you have an addiction, you'll never be able to get rid of it. You may have also heard that everyone relapses, and if you do, you'll have to start all over again at square one. You may have also been told that all you need to do is just complete some steps and then graduate from a program. Once you do, you may feel that you're cured. However, scientific evidence goes against many of these notions. And this type of thinking is what holds you back from actually breaking free from addictions forever. With most of the common rehab programs, you'll have to complete some steps or count the days of sobriety and then you graduate. Once you graduate, you may feel that you're cured. You may feel that you no longer have to worry about your addiction or that you can now move on with your life. However, this type of thinking will hurt you. This is a major reason why some rehabs also have the highest recidivism rates. Relapse after relapse and failure after repeated failure because the source of addiction is not addressed. These low success rates are recognized on a national level. However, the data reveals that you shouldn't get discouraged from relapse because it can be a stepping stone through recovery, not an end to it. Now I'll get to the solution I promised you. This method I speak of has been scientifically proven to decrease problem behavior, decrease intrusive thoughts and cravings, and rewire your brain out of destructive habit loops. This method has also been shown to dramatically improve behavior and decision making. But I gotta tell you that this method is not advertised. It would probably put all those expensive and high-end rehabs out of business because you can't make money off of it. It is something that anyone and everyone can do. It is by using mindfulness cognitive therapy techniques. These techniques have been shown to train your brain and rewire your brain out of destructive habit loops, and it is backed by tons of research. You see, one method uses what is called the non-reactivity principle. Now, most people, when they have a craving or an intrusive thought, they usually try to suppress it or to fight it. Research shows that that actually strengthens the craving because it comes from a part of the brain that is very powerful. And when people have these cravings, they think that they're a bad person or that they are weak-willed. This isn't true at all, and this type of thinking makes matters worse. Instead, the non-reactivity principle teaches us just to observe these cravings as you have them. Just acknowledge them. And if you do it properly, what you will find is that they will leave quickly. They will lessen in intensity, and you will find that you have greater cognitive control. This is typical results, and this method has been backed up by solid research. In a sense, using certain cognitive techniques that's backed by science will give you a third-person perspective. And instead of reacting aggressively to these cravings or trying to suppress them or fight them or get them out of your head, you allow them to pass by simply acknowledging them and refocusing your attention. And if you do this in the correct way, as I will show you, you will notice that they are leaving quickly. This method has not only helped thousands of people, but it has been backed up by tons of scientific research. And what's better is that the effects of using these techniques are long-term. And once you start using these techniques, the easier it becomes to redirect your attention because your brain starts to gain greater cognitive control. Keeping cravings and urges out of your mind will become easier and easier to do. You see, scientists refer to the brain as a team of rivals. This is because the brain is a multiple structured system in which different structures fight against each other for dominance. And in order for the brain to operate properly, it must be at balance. To put this into perspective, there are essentially two main parts of the brain, the prefrontal cortex and the limbic system. The prefrontal cortex is a higher functioning part of the brain which is rational and logical, and it understands consequences. But the limbic system, however, is a primitive brain. It has no ability to delay gratification. It is pleasure-oriented and selfish. It is concerned with seeking pleasure and avoiding pain at all costs, whether the pain be emotional or physical. This limbic system is also called the reward system because it is responsible for making us feel better by releasing feel-good chemicals in the brain. Drugs, alcohol, sex, pornography, and even eating activate this reward center in the brain. And from an evolutionary standpoint, this reward system goes back 600 million years before rational thought. This same reward system was found in anthropoids, invertebrate phyla, and mollusks. This limbic system is very necessary for survival. Our ancient ancestors were able to survive because they were rewarded by engaging in behaviors such as eating and sex. But today, our brains aren't designed to deal with such ready-to-access rewards. Drugs, pornography, and other addictions overstimulate this reward system. Addictions, whatever it may be, becomes hardwired as a survival process. To some, it has become a part of life, just as eating or sleeping. But there is another scientifically proven technique that is shown to reverse this wiring of the brain. And included in the Truth of Addiction program, there is a video explaining step-by-step how to do it. You see, the brain is extremely malleable. It can be changed, formed, remapped, and rewired. Scientists call the brain's ability to change as neuroplasticity. Neurons, which are cells in the brain, are not entirely connected. When we have repetitive thoughts or behaviors, neural networks or pathways are created. These pathways are created by neurons firing or sending a signal to each other. These neurons that fire together, they wire together. But it's also true that when neurons stop firing together, the connections between them become weak and a whole new set of thought patterns or behaviors can be created. Through the neural firing, behaviors are either strengthened or weakened. You see, most people take medications or pills to feel better. But medicating yourself with pills or drugs only temporarily changes the brain's chemistry. It doesn't change the neural pathways. And this temporary chemical change only lasts as long as the drug is synthesized to last. It is never permanent. You'll always have to take another pill or another drink or another smoke to make you feel better. But when our neural pathways change, our brain chemistry changes along with it, and this change can be long-term. There are over 100 supporting references found in the Truth of Addiction Guide. References from published medical journals, controlled trials, and surveys. You'll also get your own video showing you the most effective methods to decrease intrusive thoughts and cravings and help you manage your addiction long-term. You'll also get a printable guide, Nutrition for Improved Recovery. Now listen to this. According to a study, addicts that were given certain nutrients showed a 92% success rate. That's huge compared to just using the basic 12-step programs. But not only that, researchers found that people that used certain nutrients in their diet recovered more quickly, had fewer withdrawal symptoms, and were able to manage their addiction long-term. The reason that using certain nutrients is so successful is because it can restore the biochemical imbalances in the brain and body that are caused by addiction. All addiction problems are largely the same. They are all chemically based in the brain. And when you try to quit, this results in depleted and malfunctioning neurotransmitters, which ushers in strong cravings and urges for your drug of choice. There's one study that showed that rats that were given the option of choosing a bowl of water or a bowl of alcohol, when the rats had certain nutrients in their diet, they didn't touch the alcohol. But when they lacked certain nutrients, the animals chose alcohol over the water every single time. As soon as the nutrients were restored to the animals, well, they avoided the alcohol completely. Researchers were able to shift the consumption of the alcohol over the water by the deliberate increase or decrease of certain nutrients in their diet. And yes, research shows that humans act the same way. Addictions, no matter what kind, cause depleted and malfunctioning neurotransmitters. Neurotransmitters, by the way, are chemicals in the brain. Addiction throws off normal neurotransmitter activity. This is why we have strong cravings for things that aren't necessarily good for us. We crave junk food or a boost of dopamine through alcohol, cigarettes, or pornography. But this biochemical imbalance can be restored through certain nutrients because the body synthesizes neurotransmitters from nutrients. Now, doesn't that finally make sense? Now, in the printable version of the Nutrition for Improved Recovery Guide and video, I will show you certain foods and nutrients that restore these depleted and malfunctioning neurotransmitters. By using these key nutrients, you will probably feel a huge improvement in your mood. Now, I am the author and creator of this program that is extensively backed up by scientific data and research. And I am not just some random guy who doesn't really know what addiction is like. I have lost close friends to addiction, and many years ago I struggled with addiction myself. It started in high school, and I went to my first rehab when I was 17 years old. I've attended AA, and I also had part of my mouth removed because of the damage that was caused by years of chewing tobacco. And I can honestly say that I have managed my addiction to the point that I no longer desire them. It is possible, and thousands of others have done the same. This program has hundreds of supporting references. I mean, you can take a look at all the scientific research. People's lives have changed by using this program. Now, what's really great is that you do not have to wait to receive this Truth of Addiction system. In fact, you can have this complete program in seconds because nothing is shipped to you. It is instantly downloadable.